Alright, and welcome to another episode of Price Check. If you're joining us today, make sure to like and subscribe. And let's take a look. We have an antique Ido 17th century Japanese porcelain plate to start. And this is sort of the beginning of taking a look at some uh, nicer Japanese objects that have sold in the last month or two. So here we have going down for $188.50, a very fine 17th century plate. We start the bidding at $28. I would wager this is a long-term investment type antique, and it looks, if you go to the dealer, it's sold by Shangri-La. So, well, a reputable dealer and a rather striking Ido period object. Um, So if you're relatively new to Japanese antiques, the Edo era ends when the Meiji era starts in the mid to late 19th century as Japan opens and there's this huge transition. Um, this sort of style is one that does not really stay strong uh, 200-300 years after this. Or at least it's not as in fashion. So that is quite cool to see and really stands out as kind of unique as far as what objects remain from this era. So let's see, what do we have here? Let's go to, we have a blank Dachine Japanese Harido porcelain elephant figure. Looks like it might actually be quite large. Do we have a sizing on this? Mm, I don't have dimensions listed anywhere. There it is. 11 inches long by 3 3/4 inches wide and 8 inches tall. So this is a great size for a figurine. Oh, and that gives a good idea right there compared to these other objects. So this is a shelf figurine with some good age. It's a uh, white porcelain, and if you go through these photos, you'll see that Harido porcelain was some of the uh, most. I'm failing to find the right words. Is really an effort was put into making items with a realism that uh, the contemporaries would have struggled with. This might be early to mid 19th century, maybe even a little bit earlier. Um, and it would be very difficult to make an object this delicate out of porcelain. So this would really be to show off the skill of the kiln, the painters, um, to really bring this type of object alive. And this is I think a phenomenal piece. So really, really nice. Which does not surprise that it did so well, selling for $1,226.09, 65 bids. I remember this auction. Yeah, we started all the way back at 850. So good buys all around. Frankly, I think that's a lovely item that will age quite well. And let's take a look here. We have more Harido porcelain from the Edo or early Meiji period. And looks like we have a deity of sorts riding a carp. I'm not familiar with the mythology of this scene, so if you are, do us all a favor and uh, let let us know below. But This is very well done. You can see that we have some imperfections in the object. The hands are lost. There's a crack on the backside of the fins, and perhaps a bit of wear to the fins that it rests on. But overall, for the age of this item, in rather nice shape. It looks like we might have, yeah, we've glued that back on. Um, and that says something interesting too, is that the Harido porcelain would have really been treasured. This is often made at a time when, this is long before plastic. Um, so the idea that you would have an object like this that was so delicate and had been crafted or later manufactured was really a status symbol. That is something that people cared a lot about. The Harido porcelain. Very nice looking base to this. And it looks like somebody did take care to put a little bit of felt stoppers on the bottom. And if you look at this lid, you can see how delicate the work would have to be to break the lid in such a fashion that it is usable as a lid here. And a lot of fine work into the head here. And you can also see from this angle that the head has been broken off at some point. So good on the seller to be so straightforward. It doesn't surprise me that they got the price that they did for such an elegant item. And these are things I look at and say, I think Japanese antiques can often be underrated. Um, Many of the things I regret not purchasing in the last couple of years were pieces of Harido porcelain, much like this one. Um, and I do wager that, I think 5, 10 years from now, I think the Japanese market might get back to some of its glory, and items like this will start pushing forward again. And frankly, even for 750, when you can probably find something similar in an antique store for a couple $100, this is quite a nice item to keep an eye out for. So, and lastly, we have, kind of the fan favorite, the Satsuma Warrior vase. And I go to this item last for a couple of reasons. But first, let's take a look at the 16 bids that get us up to $880, starting at 99 cents. Looks like we have a buyer that really wanted this item and took it almost all of the way. So let's take a look. We have a early 20th century Satsuma painted pair of samurai warrior vases. Yeah, and these are uh, not your everyday shape that you would get. I can't tell if those are painted and ceramic enhancements, or no, they do look like they might be. I can't tell. But anyway, it is rather lovely and well done and a great shape. To have two of these in this manner would really complete someone's decorating style for a room, especially if you had a large great room, which not a lot of people have, and reflects in the price. These would be a really nice item. But let's see what we have. Do we have dimensions? Let's 7.5, approximately 7.5 inches by 23 inches. So 23 inches tall 7.5 inch diameter. So these are about 2 feet. So that's a pretty good size. So if you're out and about and you see a pair of 2 feet Satsuma vases and you can't decide, and the top and bottom are ormolu or ceramic work, you might want to pick them up because they will auction off on eBay starting at 99 cents for close to $1,000. Well, anyways, that's all the items we have for today. And make sure, if you're still with us, you probably want to see what we're doing next time. So make sure to go ahead and subscribe and then give us a like on this video. Help out the channel and stay tuned.